Hi, I'm Jean Shafiroff, and I'm on a mission. Anyone can be a philanthropist. My television show came from my book, Successful Philanthropy, How to Make a Life by What You Give. Won't you join me? Welcome to Successful Philanthropy. I'm your host, Jean Shafiroff, and this show is designed to highlight the work of different individuals throughout the United States and then beyond. Today with us, a fascinating guest. His name, Dan Gasby. He's an entrepreneur and someone who's done a lot in the world of philanthropy. Many of you know him as the widower of B. Smith. Let's all welcome Dan Gasby.
Hey,
Dan,
Jane.
thank you for joining us today. And
it's always a treat to be with you, whether it's here in the studio. The last time we were together, we had a great conversation, or at social events. I've attended several of your social events, and I had the opportunity to visit at a really big event for Southampton Hospital at your home, and I got to tell you, your house is spectacular.
well, you're very kind. Now, Dan, this interview is about you. And last time you were on the show, which was about 1 year ago, we spoke about your life, your philanthropy. What have you done since then during this pandemic?
Well, you know,
How did you manage?
the pandemic was, in many respects, a blessing in terms of allowing me to grieve privately and understand what it's like to lose someone who was your best friend. It also created an environment where I knew I had to get out of my own situation, my own house, and do some traveling. So that's what I did. But more importantly, the pandemic really made me understood how close we are and how connected. If something can go from Wuhan, China, to the world in literally months, it shows that we need to be and figure out how to work together.
No question. And so during the pandemic, you really mourned the loss of your wife, B. Smith, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
And you said you did a little traveling during the pandemic?
Well, I did. No, you know, I did. I've done some traveling in the latter stages of it because I didn't want to go anywhere based on what was happening, and particularly in certain parts and regions of the United States. But it made me want to just do different things and explore different options in terms of reading books or going to the beach or going upstate and going to the mountains. And I did those privately by myself, and or take my dogs or dog in case, and just be alone. I'd never been alone. I mean, I was married twice, 12 years with my first wife and 28 years with Barbara, with B. So that was 40 years of, you know, being responsible and being part of a unit. And this was the first time in over 40 years that I was by myself.
And how does it feel to be single? Last time you were on the show, you had just broken up with Alex Werner. And there was controversy related to that relationship because I think she was living in your house while B was still alive, and
Right.
But that was something you said, B said was okay, or I can't remember.
Well, it was done maliciously. She never lived in my house. She did come and visit. We did have a relationship. It was a very caring and loving relationship. And like all things, sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to. But it taught me and got me through some very difficult times that my wife knew, because we talked about it well before her having Alzheimer's, about the need to go on. And after, you know what most people don't realize, and we're not here to talk about it, but I want to make it clear once and for all. 12 years. I watched her go through hell for 12 years.
B. Smith had Alzheimer's for 12 years? Or a
You,
slow progression?
the diagnosis was 7 years, 7 years into the, to ultimately when she passed. 7 years, but we were seeing signs of it 12 years going back with various things she did and didn't do. And the reality was that as a caregiver takes a toll on you.
Of course it does.
And you're never the same afterwards, because to watch someone who can do or did everything almost effortlessly, to suddenly not be able to boil water or to know how to do the basic functions that all of us have to do every day is devastating. And the caregivers, and that's what I really am, a caregiver advocate. I raise money. The philanthropy that I'm involved with is for Alzheimer's, dementia. I work with the folks at the LBD community, the Lewy body community, disease that took Robin Williams' life. And I'm on the board of the Brain Foundation. I believe that it's very important for people to understand how impactful taking care of someone, particularly when they lose their ability to be cognitively aware. It's not like someone in a wheelchair. It's not like someone with cancer. It's not like someone with heart or lung disease. They still have their brain. When you lose your brain, you lose, in essence, your humanity. And so that's what made me want to get involved, because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. And with all of the added stuff, because of the racial composition of it and everything, I saw the meanness, the anger, the energy that people put out to want to take it out. There's in society today, we have something called AI, and that's artificial intelligence that's changing the face of the world. Well, what I saw was the other side of AI, anger and ignorance. And we see it in our politics, we see it in how people work and deal with people on a day-to-day basis. And I didn't want that to be the thing that was going to drive me into the ground. And I thought, you know what, keep advocating, because caregivers go through that with their family members.
They go through a very tough time. The caregiver of someone who's terminally ill, or someone who's slowly losing their memory and their ability to function. And I understand that, and my heart goes out to you, because I know you went through a very, very tough period. Now, so you've been single for a while.
Yeah.
Is Alex Werner back in the picture?
No, not at all. No.
She's out of the picture.
Yeah.
And is there a special woman right now?
There's someone that I'm very much interested in. And
what's her name?
I'm not going to do that to her. I'm not going to do that.
No, we want to know.
No, there's someone, there's a person that has, I really care about. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
And how long have you been seeing her?
Let's just say it's been 6 months. And we're trying to figure out
the next step.
Yeah.
What you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Do you think she's the right one?
I think that she could be the right one. Yes. I'll tell you this. One thing I've learned: some guys need a lot of women. I need one woman a lot. I've come to the conclusion of my self-assessment after being out for over a year now, 12 and 28, 40 years. I'm happier being with one woman. It works for me. Some guys need to have, a plethora of people in their lives. And I was afraid of getting back into wanting to be with one person, because 40 years is a long time, especially when you're in your mid-60s. I mean, that's 2/3 of your life.
It's a long time.
It's all of basically your adult life, But I know that 2 as 1 can move and make millions. Barbara and I did that. And I model myself after now, trying to think, what would she do? What would she want me to do?
I think she'd want you to be happy.
Oh, it's not even a question. See, that's the thing. People who were so upset they don't even know B. B was very open, very honest, very forthright in her assessments of life.
Well, I had met her. She was a beautiful woman with a beautiful, radiant smile, and obviously a true lifestyle star.
Yes.
And the two of you had a business together, as I remember.
Yeah,
and
we still do.
The business still goes on. And what are you doing business-wise right now?
Well, we've had a 20-year relationship with Bed Bath & Beyond in home goods, very successful. People who know we were number 1, number 2, and number 3 in their bridal category for gifts and what have you. We have doormats, we have bedding, we have silverware, plates, dishes. And we're expanding pillows, decorative rugs. That was something that we did, and it's doing well.
So you're managing the business.
The licensing portion of it, yes.
Now, getting back to your private life, would you get married again?
Oh, without a doubt, I'd get married again. I'm happier. I would, yes.
And do you think 6 months is long enough to know somebody?
Well, let me put it to you.
Or you're figuring this out?
Let me put it to you this way. My first wife left me with a 4-year-old.
He was younger than she.
No. My daughter. She left me with a 4-year-old daughter.
Oh, a 4-year-old daughter.
And I'm a really good father, but I'm a terrible mother. I couldn't braid hair. I didn't know the little things that you do, what clothes to wear, and I struggled with that. And about 3 or 4 months into that, I met this woman named Barbara Smith, who had this restaurant, and we hit it off immediately. And she was lace and steel. She was kindness, and she was just so funny, and at the same time so serious about things she wanted to do. And we looked at each other, and we started talking. She says, I never loved anyone the way I love you.
And you felt the same way?
I felt a jolt of electricity through my body that I just had just now, even saying that, because she could trust me. And because, we believed in lust and trust. Lust and trust, I like that. That's what love is. Love is lust and trust. Lust without trust will be a bust, and trust without lust will turn to rust. And we did everything. We never had one argument in 28 years. Which is pretty unusual. So I get animated about this. So when people try to tell me what B. Smith is, or who she was, or I know B, and they spell it B-E-A or B-E-E when it's just B, period. I understand why anger and ignorance now rules our society, and we've got to come back to more kindness and caring and openness about transitioning, because my advocacy with regard to caregiving is because I understand one thing, Jane. You've been through it. I've been through it. You've been there, you've done it, and you know what it's like, and so you want to help others is what I'm hearing from you. Gene, when you have cut your foot on a piece of glass because somebody broke it and they didn't know they broke it and they walked into another room, and you have to get up and then change a diaper and then have people who work for you take stuff, and you still have to use them or need them, and you go, all of that's coming through the prism of you one person or through the caregiver. I get at least 5 to 6 emails or notes, direct messages every week from somebody saying, my family isn't helping, and I'm the only one, and when I do something, they all criticize me. And I tell them, you got to realize they're going to always do that. You got to do what you need to do for yourself. Or someone saying, my kids are giving me a problem because I'm in a relationship with someone else. My wife's been like this for 9 years, 7 years. I said, you got to live your life. Well, you don't want to have a breakdown. And for our audience, we are with Dan Gasby. He's an entrepreneur. He's also very involved in philanthropy. And most of us remember Dan as the
husband of B. Smith. So now, Jan, you're in this relationship. Is this, you said lust and trust.
Yeah, will be.
Do you
yeah.
have the lust and the trust?
Well, we're working on it.
I like that.
You
So
know, it's a work in progress. But I do know, having skirted a lot of situations, that I can't imagine not being with someone or having them look into someone's eyes as I close my eyes for the last time, hopefully, or they. I know how to caregive, so I'm not afraid of that anymore. You know, I mean, when you're working and living and trying to control everything for two, and you're living half a life.
It's difficult.
It's difficult, but you know what? Some people are built for it, and some people aren't. And the best thing you can do is to be honest with yourself. I made a commitment to Barbara. She was my buddy. She was my lover. She was my friend. She was my wife. But she was
worked together,
and we worked 24/7. But she was my buddy. And I would.
You were there for her.
I would take a bullet. I would have taken a bullet for her. I could tell you stories of dealing with some of people she had to deal with that they knew that I was going to make them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Well, I'm glad you didn't take a bullet.
So.
But Dan, I want to go back to another thing. I've heard that you've moved to Georgia. Is that true?
No, I went down to Georgia.
Was that for a relationship?
No.
So the woman you're in love with is in New York, or the woman you're dating?
The woman I was dating or whatever you want is in the New York metropolitan.
And are you in love?
Yeah, I love her. I care about her.
So we might hear news soon.
You might, but
do you want to announce anything?
You know, you are so smooth. You know, your name
my
shouldn't
friend,
be
Dan.
your name shouldn't be Gene. It should be Butter, because you are smooth. But no, I'm going to keep it. You know, I went through that the last time with Alex, and I don't want to create anything for her until she's ready to handle the situation, because somebody, and you know, everybody always has an opinion. I don't believe in judging. One thing I learned out of all of this is if you don't know the full story, just keep your mouth shut. If you do know the full story, if they're good and kind and care for each other, be supportive. That's it.
So let's just say her name is Sandra.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about this woman.
She's dynamic, she's kind, she's caring. She's somebody I want to get to know better.
Okay. Now let's talk about the philanthropy, because
Yes.
I think since you were last here, you've gotten even more involved in advocating and helping. In a conversation we had earlier today, you mentioned a few different things that you were doing, and a lot of people don't know what you're doing, and I know they want to hear about what Dan Gasby is doing outside of work and outside of dating. Maybe. Well, I think they're more interested in the dating than anything else, because you know there aren't too many single men available, and widowers no less. So you're of interest to a lot of different people.
Sound like a commodity.
Well, in a way you are.
I'm like a Bitcoin. I don't know if I'm going up or going down, but I'm in circulation.
You are a commodity.
Well, can you see the blush? I'm turning ruby.
Okay, philanthropy now.
Yeah, but the thing is, a couple of things. One, the American Brain Foundation is near and dear to my heart. When I got involved with the foundation,
you're on the board,
I'm
right?
on the board of the ABF, the American Brain Foundation. It was because I realized, I looked at the brain the way you look at an item you're going to sell. And the brain is undervalued in general in America, but in the world, it's underappreciated. And because of that, it's underfunded. So if you look at cancer or heart disease, you know, and you can go down a long list, even individual types of cancer, they all receive so much more money because There are so many celebrities behind it, so many people have been impacted that understand, but not the brain. When you look at Alzheimer's or dementia, it's people who are usually at the far end of the spectrum in terms of their lives. So it's hard to get people to advocate.
Well, they can't advocate for themselves if they can't.
Right, and caregivers can only do so much, but they do. I felt, after looking at that, I wanted to talk and understand more about the brain, because if you raise the tide for what's going on with what happens with the 400 plus diseases that afflict people with brain disease, all of the various diseases will get more funding, whether it's ALS or Alzheimer's, or it's frontotemporal dementia, or it's epilepsy, or it's even Tourette syndrome. All of those things, you know, or Parkinson, all of those things go back to the brain. You know, your eyes don't see, your brain sees, your eyes function to take the data in, and your brain collects it, you know, and then transmits it back in an understandable way to the rest of your body and to others. So I wanted to be involved, so that's why I joined the board, and I've never been prouder of being in an organization. And we just had Cindy McCain just came on the board, John McCain's widow, a dynamite, caring person. You know what he was. I mean, I have a particular fondness for John McCain on a personal level, because I was there when we had the restaurant in Washington. When he came over to B, and he said, in his own kind of folksy way, he says, "B, you're an American success story. You're an American classic." I mean, John McCain, I mean, this guy's a hero. This guy.
Well, he's been through, he went through a lot.
Through a lot.
He really went through a lot. And so his wife is now on the board.
On the board.
So you're, I guess, working with her a little bit, and you're advocating a lot for people.
Yes.
And I understand locally in the Hamptons you're involved with.
Well, I'm also involved very proudly with the town of Southampton Housing Authority to bring affordable housing to people on the east end of Long Island. And I think it's very important. When you see how many people have to struggle to go 40 miles, and it could take 2 hours because they have to live up island because they can't afford homes on east of the Shinnecock, you realize that a community can't exist as a donut where everybody is wealthy and the people who are doing all the essential services can't afford to live there.
It seems to be a problem because this is the playground for the rich and the famous, the Hamptons.
It is.
And with COVID, people leaving big cities, more and more people came out to the Hamptons, and so the real estate prices have gotten even higher and higher. But one thing we know is that, like all markets, this is a very cyclical market. So although it's very high now, chances are it's going to drop, but still affordable housing is a whole nother issue. So you're on the housing board. Are you enjoying this work?
I'm enjoying it because what I'm seeing is when the TSHA puts people into a home, and see, there's a difference. You know, there's housing that quote unquote is called Section 8, which is low income, and then there's, you know, people who are school teachers, people who run restaurants, people who work in post offices, people who are police officers, who need housing, and to see that, and to see how thoughtful they are and how much they care about it, it's a good feeling. Because I grew up poor. I mean, I grew up where if you sat on at the toilet, you look down, you might have somebody looking at you, and it's got a long tail. So I lived through. I know what it's like to not have adequate housing or not to have hot water. I mean,
well, my dad was a school teacher, and we grew up in Mid-Island. We had a nice life, though. I do want to say that. I don't remember having everything, but I didn't even want everything. But times are different now.
Times are different, but you know, but Jean, I know where I came from. I know who I am. I know what's important to me, and it's not all about me.
I couldn't agree more. Life has to be about others, and otherwise you waste a lifetime. And Dan, we have less than 2 minutes left, and I want you to tell us what's most important to you now moving forward, and then a little advice to our viewers, something you can leave them with.
The most important thing I've learned is to, in this competitive world and emotionally charged and gotcha environment with social media, is to think before you feel. Don't let every visual or everything that's written be the Bible or be the dogma or law. That's the thing I've learned the most. And the second most important thing is you're born in an instant, you're young for a minute, you're old for a while, and you're dead forever. So live your life every day with the attitude, I'm going to try to make it better, not only for myself, but someone else.
And I really like that. And what is the website for the Brain Foundation?
It's the AmericanBrainFoundation.org.
And so for our audience, if you'd like to donate and support the American Brain Foundation, Dan's just given the website.
And also, because I live and love, and I could live anywhere, I love the East End of Long Island, and I love what the Town of Southampton Housing Authority is doing. Please participate. We have regular events. You can go online to Town of Southampton organization and website and find out what we're doing, and also donate so that more people who are the backbone of our community can have housing and not have to drive 40 or 50 miles to work. So, I mean, and last but not least, I want to say something, and it's something that I'm going to start getting more involved. The East End Hospice organization out here is second to none in terms of caring for people as they end their lives. They are what's done, how they do it, the people that give so much and come in when someone is leaving. I can't say enough about the East End Hospice. They are A+. And anyone out here who has a loved one and you can't handle the situation, please reach out to the East End Hospice organization, because they do amazing work.
Yes, and East End Hospice is a great group, and a while back I had their executive director on the show, and she really was terrific. But today we're about you and what you do. And Dan, I want to thank you very much for joining us today, and you'll be back soon, I hope, maybe next year.
Gee,
and
you know, whenever you call me, I always make sure, because what people don't know is beneath this stylish, classy exterior is a person that is constantly trying and doing more for others than herself.
Dan, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for all you do. This concludes Successful Philanthropy. Our guest today, Dan Gasby. He's an entrepreneur and philanthropist. I'm Jean Shafiroff, your host. I'll see you next week.